Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the March edition of the Heart of Cary Association meeting. Very excited to introduce our both our sponsor and our guest speaker this morning. I'm going to go over the agenda. We're going to start with some introductions. Barry is going to share a little bit about what he does. Our keynote speaker is Moss Withers. We're going to open it up for some Q&A. We're going to touch on our member spotlight, our nonprofit spotlight, excuse me, the Caring Place. We'll have some announcements and member introductions. We're going to do something a little unique today. We're going to have an opportunity towards the end of the meeting for everyone to be brought into the session, to introduce yourself, to share something that's important to you about Cary Downtown, whether it's your how you live, how you work, how you play. We'd like to know either something that you really love about it or some of the challenges that you're experiencing with it. And so now I have the good pleasure of introducing our sponsor, Barry Mitch. Bear with me again here for a moment. Sorry, Barry.
I'm here.
With a master's of science in public health, you might imagine Barry spending his time helping the community at large examine better ways to address our public health crisis during COVID. But as the co-founder of Pyramid Resource Group, an executive leadership, development, and coaching program, our sponsor today creates far more value for our community by focusing his energy on helping our small and medium-sized business owners overcome their greatest challenges, adapt to an ever-changing marketplace, constantly developing meaningful and translatable programs, facilitating them, and through his artful coaching style, he teaches and guides his coaching clients to maximize opportunities, minimize obstacles, and transform setbacks into very relevant, life-changing experiences. And what I just shared with you is not Barry's bio, nor a speech introduction that he shared with me, but my fellow members, that was my own discourse, which I'm sharing with you from my own personal experiences over the last year with Barry as my group coach, as an offering provided by the Cary Chamber of Commerce to small business members. Has over 25 years of experience in training and development, and all I needed was 1 month with him to learn how talented he is as a coach. Yes, Barry is an accomplished author and a program designer, but to me, he's one of our community's most humble super leaders, what I call leaders who have a gift for leading others to lead others to greatness. Please help me welcome Barry Mitch.
Oh God, thanks, Scott. I'm kind of overwhelmed by that. And I'm happy to be a sponsor this morning. I want to spend a couple of minutes just to introduce a special offering that we're going to have for the Heart of Cary people. And we're going to talk about group coaching very briefly. What Scott experienced was just a Cary Chamber Business Dialogue event, and what we're going to offer is something a little bit more formal for members. And let me pull this up and talk about this. So what is group coaching as opposed to executive coaching? This is where you come together as a group and work together on things. And some of the benefits of group coaching, you're engaging in a professional and personal growth activity together. And as Scott mentioned, with his success with just a short period of time, a lot of magical things can happen to people working in a group. It creates connections and synergy when you work together. You generate novel ideas and best practices. You share your successes and your challenges. You build network opportunities. You reinforce each other's goals and aspirations, which are shared within the group. And it gives you a designated time to think and reflect with others. So let me tell you how this is going to work if you want to be part of this. I'm offering to form a group with the Downtown Cary Alliance. A minimum of 5 people would be needed to make this work, and we'll take a maximum of 8. We'll start the process off with an assessment. This is TILT, a fun assessment. Scott has taken it recently, and he found it pretty phenomenal how It highlighted some of his strengths and some of his challenges. This was actually developed at NC State locally, and I've had a lot of fun using this with my clients. Once you sign up for the group, you'll have an individual kickoff session with me where I get to know you a little bit better and learn about what you're trying to achieve. And then we'll go into the group coaching, and we'll meet twice a month for an hour as a group. And then once a month, each individual will have a chance to do a 30-minute session with me as well. So it's going to be individual coaching and group coaching together. We'll have monthly themes. They'll be determined by my individual kickoff sessions with each other, what you're really wanting to work on. A theme could be focusing on the assessment tool. A theme could be focusing on networking. A theme could be focusing on energy, getting better with your physical traits. And then hopefully you're going to get some results out of this. And let me just share my own personal experience. 30 years ago, my first experience with coaching was with a group. And one of the things I was working on at that time was marketing a video series I developed with NC State. And I hate cold calling. And I was determined that, within my group, I committed to X number of cold calls a day. During that process of being part of that group, we identified a client, at the time, a small company in Research Triangle Park called Glaxo. And we ended up working with Glaxo for almost 18 years. And even to this day, we're still working with people that we met through that contact. So that one experience with group coaching was worth literally millions of dollars to us. Now, I'm not going to say that everybody who joins the group is going to have $1 million idea, but I assure you, you might lose 5 pounds, you might benefit in other ways, but you'll get something out of it for sure. So if you're interested, here's my contact information. I want to need to sign up by March 19th. You can contact me by email, by phone. There is going to be a fee. You got to have some skin in the game. It's going to be $300 a month and a 6-month commitment. And it only works if you have some commitment financially and some commitment from the standpoint of your own personal time. So Scott, I'll turn it back over to you, and I'm sure you'll say more about this later, but I look forward to hopefully having some people from Heart of Cary in our group. All right,
Wonderful.
Scott.
Thank you again for sharing. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to sharing with our members a scholarship program that we're going to be offering for individuals who own small businesses, particularly restaurateurs and retailers that are experiencing the greatest challenges due to COVID. So that leads me to introduce our keynote speaker for today. And I could spend probably as much as 20 minutes talking about the quality of our speaker today, about how I observed him personally as a father, as a husband, from the stories from his father, him as a son, and certainly as a colleague and a friend to many. And of course, as a community leader, driven what I think most people would perceive as a caring and philanthropic heart. I will only have just scratched the surface of this young man's potential. Moss's rapid rise of success in the commercial real estate community is really unequaled. Since obtaining his MBA from NC State, he's won award after award after award for his accomplishment in real estate. But I couldn't think of a better way to introduce Moss than to share a story from a local seasoned real estate investor who became a loyal client to Moss, to really put things into perspective. So Phil Stevens, a native of Fuquay, spent a career working for Equitable Real Estate Management. As one of the nation's largest real estate investors, this company allowed him to negotiate many of the country's largest and most complex commercial transactions, including the international headquarters for Levi Strauss in San Francisco, and the complete renovation of the Phipps Plaza Shopping Center in Atlanta, anchored with Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom's, and Belk. Upon retirement, he started his own development business with a number of commercial projects in the Triangle. And it had been his long observation that the brokerage community in smaller to mid-sized cities were not as sophisticated as you might find in larger metro areas. Moss Withers is by far the most talented broker I've ever met in the community. He has a sixth sense for the highest and best use of land and instantly knows all of the qualified investors for any parcel. He's also has an understanding of the technical characteristics of any site and whether they can be approved by public authorities. Moreover, Moss has an instant and thoroughly correct feeling for the property value and applies this knowledge correctly, whether his client is a land seller or a developer looking for a choice parcel on which to build. Moss has unequaled integrity. He could work in New York City and never miss a beat. And I want to personally add that, like Moss's friend and client, Phil Stevens, has said, I have no hesitation recommending him and his team to any high quality individual or company who's looking for direction, greater confidence, and greater capability from a real estate professional. Moss, thank you for being here this morning. I know your time is extremely valuable, in fact, priceless with your kids. I know you had to work around your schedule to be with us this morning. I'm both grateful for you being here, and I'm mindful of your responsibilities when you get off this call to you as a father and a husband. So, Moss, thank you.
Thank you so much. That's humbling, Scott. I didn't know what you were going to say, so I was nervous to see which client you were talking about. But Phil is a great guy. Phil was actually the guy that developed, he was the Stevens land, which is a bunch of land down in Holly Springs, and we helped him kind of figure out, if you know where the bypass goes around Holly Springs, the Harris Teeter, all the out parcels, the hospital. We actually negotiated with Rex to get the 7-story hospital down there. So he was a great client, great friend, and so that's awesome to hear. He actually lives in Fuquay now. So anyways, Scott, it's good to see you again. Scott and I actually got to know each other really well at the gym many, many moons ago, and I haven't seen you there, Scott. So we need to get you back.
Got to get back. Got to get back.
And then Barry, actually, I think he turned off his picture because he's probably headed fly fishing right now, based upon what I know about Barry. So it's good to be. It's good to see both of y'all. And I actually had my experiences with Barry Mitch starting out at Leadership Cary several years ago, and what a great resource for Cary. He is a true heart for this town. All right, so what I'm going to do, well, let me introduce myself a little bit real quick. Born and raised in, I guess it was technically Raleigh. For those that are local, which most of you are, I think, I grew up on Holly Springs Road, right near Lily Atkins Road, if you know where that is. So I haven't made it very far. I tried to go away, went to App for an undergrad, and then I got my MBA at NC State. But I came back here and have just loved to see the progress that this area has made over the past 15 to 20 years. So anyways, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. This conversation that Scott asked me to talk about is, let me make sure I share it. Scott, give me confirmation that you've got it.
Got it.
Okay. So this talk is nothing that I'm doing personally. It's more about what we're seeing on the commercial side of downtown Cary. And I've kind of stayed inside that Maynard loop. So I'm not, I did not mention the Glen Air expansion, which is unreal. And if you haven't had a chance, go onto their website and see what they're doing right there where the old Kmart was, or the Epic Games or Fenton. I really focused on the internal circles of downtown Cary. So I look forward to sharing some stuff with you. And if for those that saw Ted talk a little bit about this yesterday, Ted Talks, Ted Boyd, he did one yesterday. He has the archives of great pictures that I don't have access to. So I get to see forward thinking pictures, and he was able to put in a lot of past pictures, which was really cool. And I hate I don't have those. But anyways, make sure this switches. There you go. Scott, we good?
Yes.
Good deal. So background on me, grew up, born and raised here, worked for a company called NAI Carolinic for about 11 years. I got asked to work for a company called Lean Associates. Not a local rep, big name around here, but they're out of Los Angeles. There's about 25 offices in California. And it's a commercial brokerage that has basically spread across the United States. You can see the little map on there. We have grown in 2 years to about 27 brokers here in our office. It's been pretty humbling to see the opportunity and the people that want to be a part of our team. So we've got 264 properties. We represent about 5 million square feet, and we actually manage around 2 million square feet in this market as well. So that's a little bit about us. But more importantly is this map, and I cannot take any credit for this. We've got a marketing team of 6 that sit behind me and made this look really pretty. And so what I'm going to do is break down these 18-ish points of things that are kind of going on throughout the market that I thought that this group may have interest in. So what we'll do is when I click, it'll go to number 1 and talk a little bit about number 1, and then the 2, and then the 3, and then the 4. And I just thought this would be a good way to kind of segue through what is exciting things that we're seeing on the commercial side are happening within downtown Cary. So with that, I will get started, but I wanted to make sure that y'all saw kind of a map, and you can see how localized and how micro we are when it comes to the developments going on around here. I do want to point out that the vision of downtown has been something that's been on the docket for staff and the town council at Cary for 20 to 25 years. So this didn't all come over the past 2 to 3 years. This is 20 years in the making and is finally starting to catch its stride. So it's really exciting to see what's happening down here and the vision of the town of Cary being created in their downtown corridor. So anyways, let's move on. I did this last year, which was great. It was awesome. It was in person, which was a lot better. We're getting a lot more comfortable with these Zoom calls. So I'm going to give a little update on some of these projects that are going on that I talked about last year that you may be a part of. This is the Walker, which is a building that sits right in the front side of the parking deck along Walnut Street. If you notice out there, there's a lot of construction going on. And I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse, Scott?
Yes.
Yep. So what's going on now is the construction of apartments that will be wrapping this parking deck right here. And the building, which you see in this pretty picture right here, is lagging a little bit just to make sure that we secure the right big tenant. And to give you a little bit of back access, we've probably got committed. This whole building right here is about 108,000 feet. One floor is retail, and then the remainder is office, about 70,000, 75,000 square feet of office, and the remainder retail. We probably have committed pre-commitments to about 30,000 square feet of the 70,000 square feet of office. And office is really what's needed to kick it off. That brings the credit that's needed to kind of get it going. So we are hoping to secure one more 25 to 30,000 square foot user, which would be more of a regional or a headquarters deal, to bring them to downtown and get this building going, hopefully relatively shortly. We are in conversations with several groups. We actually are in conversation with one group that is 70,000 feet. So it could change the whole landscape of what's going on around here. But
so to put things into perspective to the audience, Moss, generally buildings have to be about 50% leased up with office in order to justify moving forward?
That's correct. Yes. 50% is basically what the banks will require to lend the money. So they want to see a signed letter of intent or a signed lease to give them the confidence to proceed with lending the money on a project like this. For reference, you can see the library tucked back in here, but it's just a great retrospect of what's going on. And I do want to point out, it's hard to see behind this tree, but there's an open air walkway that goes straight into the new park, which will be the next thing that we talk about. And it creates this little jewel box on the corner of 2,800 feet for a coffee shop or a nice little place, and a ton of outdoor seating. So this will be such a destination for the office user or anybody that's coming to that park. So it's really exciting to see the growth and the potential, and those apartments already come in and people come into town. So you can see some details on the left. If you've got any questions, we can ask them at the end, I guess, but we'll just kind of run through these. Number two, which has got a lot of emphasis in the media recently, is just the updated park. And I'm not the one that really needs to probably talk too much about this, but everybody knows what's going on there. And it's just a phenomenal asset to the town. When you talk to people like Sean Stiegel and Ted, their comments are, when you get off the airplane at RDU, we want them to say, we need to go to downtown Cary to look at this incredible park. So that is the vision the town has for what they're trying to create here. And construction begins very, very soon. So it'll be exciting to see this go forward and hopefully be finished in the 2023 era, which would just really be a fantastic asset to downtown. So very vision forward thinking by staff and council to acquire this land and make what will be one of the best destinations in the Raleigh-Durham and Cary market. So proceeding on, the Maiden. The Maiden was a big conversation last year because of there was some transition of ownership. It was having some struggles with just delinquency and what to do. And the town wanted to make sure that they kept this boutique hotel. It is a phenomenal hotel. They've done a lot to the to bringing people to downtown. And if you haven't, I'd recommend staying here. Cary is a great spot, and we've done this with a lot of people in our office to take it overnight. Right, go there, go have dinner, stay at the Maiden, go out, have coffee in the morning. There's just so many opportunities in downtown Cary, and this is the ideal spot to stay. There was an ownership transition that happened last year, and the buyers ended up being a gentleman by the name of Bill Zahn. And Bill Zahn was the right buyer because he wanted to take the Maton and turn it into something more. So if you haven't been in over the last 6 months or so, they have done a ton of renovations, new floors. They're just kind of taking it up to the next level. But one of the best things that they've done is they brought in the managers of the Durham Hotel in downtown Durham, which is one of the best boutique hotels in this market. And so those that were involved at the Durham Hotel are assisting in the management of this project. So they are one of the best in the boutique hotel market. And Bill and his team, I think the Kinnear family, were able to bring that management to downtown. I've also got in here the Cotton House. With the vision of Bill Zahn and Steve Kinnear, they went ahead and have purchased the Cotton House as well. So they wanted to protect that asset, and it's the neighbor of theirs. So they actually own the real estate where the Cotton House is as well, just to kind of create some synergies to what's already there. So I think those guys have been fantastic for downtown. They are visionaries, and it's just great to see local real estate representatives playing a bigger part in what will be the future of downtown Cary. So that's number 3. Number 4, the success of Park Station. It's interesting. This conversation about Park Station several years ago was, can we sell an 800,000 square foot, $800,000 townhome in downtown Cary? And I'm not the one to talk on the residential side, but the success was a lot better than they expected. And so if you actually notice on the map there, there's a number 4 that points down to the south side of Walnut Street. And the Envision Homes team have acquired additional land to build more townhomes right there off of Byram Street. Their success in downtown Cary was to the point where they want to double their inventory. So they are looking for new opportunities and have started the process of finalizing entitlements on the Byram Street project, which will bring another 30 or so townhomes to downtown Cary. So it's exciting to see that growth. It's exciting to see the success. Those that are doing projects like this, and I'll talk about another one, it's not a proven market. So when we're sitting here talking to tenants, I can't say, well, this building leased and here's the price and this is why they need to be there. So these are kind of forward thinkers taking a chance and getting the lenders and their team behind them to also see that vision. And it's good to see the success of a lot of these projects because there's a lot at risk to do something like this. So it's awesome to see these. And if you haven't walked through one, they're fantastic. They look really, really nice. Elevators, there's a rooftop. It's a really, really nice asset to a luxury living in the downtown market. Old Library side, we get asked about this a lot. And I think the goal initially with the town was to find a developer and kind of create something here in short order. That has changed from my conversations with Cary over the past year or two, which is that they want to kind of hold that with the construction that'll take place in the park. This is a great asset to kind of have overflow. And if you haven't been out there, they've got brand new sod, it's additional parking for the town. And it's just a great way to go have a picnic or do these displays like the lighting displays they did over the holidays. And it's a great kind of hangout area. So they're going to keep that there for a while until they realize exactly what the park looks like and how long that will take. Is just an opportunity for those to enjoy downtown a little bit more. I bet you will see additional displays like this tiger and things to bring synergy. And I don't know if you remember, but those light up lights and those balls that came out at night, it's just great to see what they're doing and the creativity to bring interest to what's going on down there. It's just phenomenal. So keeping an eye on this, but ultimately nothing I don't think will change over the next couple of years here based on what I know, but I'm one person. So
No, I'm hearing the same thing. And I do love the constantly changing elements. It gives you a reason to come down virtually every week just to kind of check in and see how things are going.
This is one of the best stories that I like to kind of give an update on from last year. So last year when we were pitching this, or when we were showing this to Heart of Cary, this was a vacant building. It was under construction to get a new skin, but there was no real tenant mix in there. And as I mentioned, forward thinking, there was no existing office space to lease in downtown Cary. So nobody knew if there was demand to bring office to downtown Cary. So the Cary Oil Company, which was the major investor in this, bought this and started reskinning the building and kind of re-envisioning what this building could be. It was the old Cooper Law building. And What this proved was there is demand, because this building a year later is fully leased. The first floor was taken by First Bank. And then the top floor is by Stevenson Law, as well as McKeenan Property Group, which is doing several projects in downtown as well. But this means a lot to our industry, because what I can say is we took a building, it went out to market with nobody in it, and it filled up. So there is demand for office in downtown Cary. There's just no inventory. So we need to have more inventory show up in downtown because it's leasing. So people want to be downtown. So this means a lot to me to see this lease up and the success that this has had. So this is right across from Town Hall. They do have a nice patio they built. They hope to start activating that this year and using it to try to get people outside and enjoy the area. I mentioned this one last year too. This one's kind of kicked a little bit because of COVID, but this is the Jordan redevelopment, which is right where Harrison and Chatham are intersecting. Right now, there's a little single-story building where Hustle used to be, a couple other users, but they are pressing forward, and there's some details over there on the right with a partnership with the Baptist Church in the back, which is kind of back in here with a parking deck for 466 spaces and some apartments that wrap that parking deck, as well as a 4-story, 75,000 square foot retail first floor, 3 floors of office above it. We are actively in conversations with a group to take an entire floor, if not a floor and a half of this building, even though it's probably 2 years out from starting construction. But once again, that shows there's demand for offices and people wanting to be downtown and working in downtown, which is great for future growth. This is the second parking deck I've mentioned, the first one being over there by the library. The library has around 600 spaces. This one has about 466 spaces. Success to downtowns is access to parking. And Cary did a really good job in working with private development to bring parking to downtown, and this by ways like this. So it's just really good to see them forward thinking and having ability to generate opportunity for future growth, because if they want to densify properties, those people have to have somewhere to park, and these parking decks will be those opportunities. La Farm is a client of mine, and if you haven't met Missy and Lionel, they are fantastic for this area. I'm sure you've been to their shop. If you haven't, you need to, over there off of High House, but also downtown. I had a meeting with Missy, and she gave me permission to say this last week. She's trying to figure out what the building, the old Sorrel Grocery right there, really needs to be long-term. They've kind of been kicking the can and what this needs to be over the past 4 years since they moved in. The back of it is actually an operational bakery, but she wants to make more out of this. She wants to teach baking. She wants the education of baking. She wants this to be a destination to where you go grab a scone and then you can walk through and see them working in the rear and really educate not how to bake, but the history of baking, how it got to where it is, why they do this, what's the stories behind each loaf of bread and this, that, and the other. And she really wants to bring an education to the art of baking to downtown Cary, which is awesome. So I see over the next 2 to 3 years, opportunities where this will be a destination, not to just go buy something like a scone or a croissant, but to understand what they're doing behind the scenes and really be a benefit to the town, not as a way to generate revenue, but as a way to educate. When you talk to Missy, her most important thing here is to create an education around what's going on. Additionally, we have just finalized what space they really will need in this building, which I think it's around 16,000 feet in the future. So there will be opportunities to add in a couple more retail shops and bring some other types of uses into this building, which would be great. So I bet in 2 to 3 years, you'll see a much more detailed La Farm bakery, which you can see some pretty pictures here, but then also 2 or 3 smaller tenants to maybe grab a coffee or grab some ice cream, or just kind of creating a destination and a presence. And there's discussions in this building that has these common area seating to where you can go in and you can kind of intermix the tenants sitting into this area. So it's really, really cool to see the growth going on and their opportunities happening here. So
Chris, is that building capable of getting a second floor on it?
There has been some discussions about going vertical, and yes, it is. Well, it would have to be kind of stabilized to be able to go vertical, but that's a good question. And it's a question that, because across basically catty corner is the Jordan building, which I just showed. And we don't want so the bakery's right here. We don't want it to feel like it's just swallowed up by all these bigger buildings. So there has been discussions of going vertical. It would not be imminent. This is something to where it might be down the way. But she wants to kind of get the education piece out there and start using the building better than it is right now. So that's the emphasis right now, not going.
Okay.
The center, this is the building where Taipei 101 is. You can see it right here. Incredible growth going in there. Hank's Downtown Dive is looking to open soon. If you haven't stuck your head in the window, go look at the interiors of that. It's fantastic. That's owned by a guy named Matt who owns Sidebar in downtown Cary. One of the other things as a commercial broker that we like to pay attention to is if one user in downtown opens a second one, that means he's feeling confident in the market. So it's awesome to see Sidebar's owner create a new food venture into Hank's Downtown Dive because he feels the synergy and he must be successful where he is before to be able to take that next step. So that's another good indicator for the commercial real estate market that people are successful. So when we talk to those outside, like DeFora Pizza, which we'll talk about next, to say that there's
Currently my favorite pizza.
well, and I'll talk about that here shortly, but to say that other users or users in town are doubling up on their bets, that gives other users that are outside looking in to carry confidence that, hey, they're successful, so we can be successful. DeFora Pizza, which Ted pointed out yesterday, which is awesome, is the first by the slice. You can buy it by the slice in downtown Cary. And what does that mean? That means they feel that they can make a pizza and sell all the slices before it goes bad, which is something that never would have happened 2 or 3 years ago in downtown Cary. There just wasn't enough activity. If you wanted a pizza, you'd have to buy the whole thing. Well, the buy the slice aspect of pizza is something that's phenomenal because that shows they have confidence that people will come there and they can sell an entire pizza by the slice, which is, it's the little indicators, but that's a really cool one to see in downtown. So,
And it's obvious that it's happening. I was there Saturday. They ran out of cheese slices.
there you go. So it's awesome to see the success that's going on like that. Some other users, Taipei, still rocking and rolling down there. There's a gelato concept that'll be going into this center, which is great. So you'll be able to get some gelato across the street, right kind of behind Taipei sooner rather than later. So that's awesome to see.
Mhm.
And if you haven't seen the patio that they did for Hanks, they kind of dug it out. They're redoing the sidewalk now and they'll backfill it, but it's a great little patio that they built on the street side, the Chatham Street side, for outdoor seating for Hanks. The Rogers building. This is the old Rogers Hotel, and this is where I lose because Ted had a great picture of the old Rogers Hotel that I don't have access to. But this is coming along pretty well. This is at Rogers Alley, which is kind of right here. And there's some pretty visuals of making this a walkable street over to Cedar on the backside. This is Chatham Street. Right across the streets, basically Daybreak, which I don't have Daybreak on here, but I love to see. That's another good indicator for commercial real estate is breakfast. That means they assume people will come downtown for breakfast. That's something that never would have happened 3 or 4 years ago. So Daybreak's success in opening is something that's great. This project's across the street from Daybreak at the old Rogers Motel, and it goes all the way up to Walker. And it's kind of got a 2-building facade, but it's all one building with a common lobby in the middle. The deconstruction of the buildings on site, I think will take place in the next 60, maybe 90 days. So you're going to start seeing some activity there. There's been a lot of interest in the retail on the first floor. We've also are in conversations with what I think would be a phenomenal office user for about 22,000 feet in this building, which kind of gets you close to kicking it off. So it's fantastic to see the success and what's going on around here. This is done by George Jordan and Jordan Gussenhoven. I'm sure those are common names in this group. They are, if you want to talk about visionaries and taking a chance, those guys have done it. And one of these projects called the Williams House, which was the old radio station they moved, that is a loss leader for them. They're losing money on that, but they did that for bringing the aspects of downtown. This building, which most people may not even know where it is, it fronts on Cedar. And if you know where we are, this is where there it is. Right here is where Scratch Kitchen is backfilling the Postmaster and Hustle and the post office back in here, or Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's an old warehouse building sitting there vacant right now. And it's owned by Richard Ladd and the Ladd family, which is another staple in downtown. And they're looking to revitalize that building. And this is an image that we got from them. It's 4,700 feet. They can divide it into 2 users, but it's another building that's being converted, which will really have more draw and more appeal. They're looking for a restaurant. They actually have the ability to do a rooftop if a tenant wanted to come in and put a rooftop on board. So it's just good to see continued growth. I mentioned this one before, the Williams House. This one's almost done. They do have a tenant that's taken the first floor right here. It is it's a retail group. I can't say who it is yet, but it is a great user to bring more people to downtown. This is a loss leader from them. This is not something that they're making any money on. They just did this because they thought it was the right thing to do. There's a great 2,000 to 3,000 square foot office space up top, and they did put some parking on the back off Waldo. And there's a great little spot in the bottom for a gym or something to that aspect. So this building will have 3 tenants eventually, but it's just good to see the revitalization of existing product that was in downtown.
What kind of tenant are they looking to fill that other spot?
So this is probably more of an office user, and you can come up this way, or there's a access in here to elevator. So more of an office on the top floor with a little walkout patio, which is pretty cool. And then there's a spot on the backside that faces Waldo. That's probably more of a gym or a spa or something to that aspect.
Got it.
So if you've got business and you're looking to come downtown, there's plenty of opportunity. Well, coming. Just takes time to organize. The Chatham Walk, this is something that we announced last year. It was under construction. It's absolutely done phenomenally well. They're about sold out. So that success showed that, you read a lot about, can we really sell a condo, let alone a $350,000 to $400,000 condo in downtown Cary? Well, it's proven. Chatham Walk proved it right here, which means several other developers will start turning their heads to look for more opportunity for this type of product in downtown because the demand is there. People want to be there. And then you probably see across the street from that, Urban Place. Urban Place is a for rent product, 28 units. This is Richard Ladd. The one up here was Jordan Gussenhoven and a guy named John Barefoot, both locals. And this one's Richard Ladd. This is a for rent product right across the street. You would see they've done the stairwells now. So if you see these big cinder block stairwells, that's this project that's going in right across the street from Chatham Walk. This just came out this week, which is a piece of land owned by George Jordan and Jordan Gussenhoven. To give you a little aspect, here's Riley Contracting. This is an old aerial, but that's where Midtown Square is, where DeFara Pizza, Sidebar, and Bond Brothers sits back here. This was a visionary project that we talked about last year because it was 35,000 feet with no tenants. We had one vacancy come up this year and it's leased. So it's back to fully leased, which continues to tell me that people want to have their offices in downtown. So this is a project that's coming in 220 apartments. This is Chatham Street. And they're going to have about 8,000 square feet of office retail on the front here. There is some parking tucked in back in here. So it will bring additional parking to downtown, but the demand is there. It's called the Meridian. And you can see some visuals that actually were announced this week.
Beautiful product.
So this is a cool project. If you ever go the other way in downtown to the circle, I always consider the downtown circle to circle. This is the old Bidding Electric headquarters, and they bought some land. We actually sold to them out off of Aviation and 40, and they're building a new headquarters there. And this was bought by the McKeenan Property Group, which I mentioned earlier is in 315 North Academy, where the First Bank building is. They didn't know what they wanted to do with it, but they decided they wanted to try to revitalize what was there. So up here is the aerial and showing what it existing. And this is the product they're trying to create, which is really cool. A 2-tenant mix with a lot of outdoor seating, a lot of just hangout. And they're going to take these existing buildings here, and then that overlay, reinforce them and create just a cool concept to go have lunch or have a beer or have a coffee. And they're looking for 2 tenants to bring to this market to kind of create an aspect of just a destination for this side of downtown. This is phenomenal because this starts to frame opportunity on the west side of downtown. There's been a lot, which that apartment complex I just showed, on the east side, but this starts to put some perspective of places to be able to walk to on the west side of town. So this is a cool project. It will be coming online probably this year. You'll start to see some construction. They've got 2 great users that they're talking to, but have not signed the leases yet. So it's a really cool project. This drawing was shown. There's a concept out of, I think it's Atlanta or it's Florida, where it's a bar and they've got a putt-putt. So you can actually go grab a beer and then go out and play a little 9-hole putt-putt course. So that was what the vision area was here. It's kind of cool. The Future Transit Center, it's something that's been talked about a long time, but this 11-acre site is where they're going to move the hub of all transportation. You mentioned, it shows it all right here, but you'll have BRT running through here, commuter rail, Amtrak. It's pinched in where it is and it needs opportunity for growth. So it's looking to shift next door. And this will just bring more opportunity, more growth, and just something that a downtown needs, which is access to public transportation. So, and I've got one more, and this is more of just an example of what I think we will continue to see, which is, this is a piece, if you can see that blue line right there, that's part of the 11 acres that we just talked about for the new future hub. This just came online. I have nothing to do with it, but this is more of an example. It's an assemblage of 2.79 acres that just came on the market for 3.75 million, or $1.3 million per acre. You're going to start to see these show up in downtown, or neighbors are going to come together, or people are going to start putting pieces together to create more opportunity for continued growth in this market. So I share this to say, this is just an example of, I think, what will continue to happen over the next 2 to 3 years as the success of downtown Cary increases. And it just shows you the valuations, which is something that are, hard to believe 5 years ago. So that's more of an example. And then here's questions. So this was what we're seeing in the market. And I'm here to open to answer any questions if needed.
That's wonderful. Okay. So getting a lot of amazing feedback from our audience, especially members are especially pleased to see the continued development on the western side, since the eastern side has gotten so much attention. And what I'm going,
and the gas station on the corner, to keep y'all posted, it is closed down. That is under control by the Cary Oil, and I think that I don't know, but I'm sure they have a vision for making that into more than what it is, and that's why they went ahead and closed it down. So they're trying to figure out what they can do to continue the growth on the eastern side of town, which is something that they really need. But McKinnon's doing that with the bidding electric revamp right there, which is really, really cool. So.
Well, it appears that most of the questions that were asked, you pretty much covered as part of your presentation. So if you have any other questions, feel free to add those to the Q&A session or add it to the chat. If not, if any additional questions come up, Moss, we'll be sure to point them in your direction. And let's see, it looks like we got, are there any plans for the property behind the gas station on the eastern side by the circle?
Yes, that will continue to be put together to make something special.
Okay, great question. Any others?
Ross, how are the values in Cary comparing now to other places in the triangle? At 1.3 million per acre seems that's nice. But
yeah, so when you get to downtown land, you start to convert it into price per foot instead of price per acre. So 1.3 million is probably pushing $28 to $29 a foot for downtown land. If you're in downtown Raleigh, that price is $120 to $130 per foot. If you're in downtown Nashville, it's $250 a foot. If you're in downtown Austin, it's $250 a foot. Raleigh gets compared to Austin and Nashville a lot. So what we're doing is we're actually paying attention to what they're doing, because we seem to lag behind them. I will tell you, the expedition, the excelled growth in this market, in my opinion, has been to the excess of 4 leaders in this office. I mean, in the towns here. But when Amazon and Apple both were looking towards this market, it turned a lot of heads to understand why were they looking at Raleigh, Durham, Cary, Chapel Hill. So we've seen a lot more attention from outside money looking into this market because of the bigger players looking in this market. The amount of people that we have coming out of the universities here, the lack of traffic and the affordable living just goes make this such an appetizing place. One of the things that hurts us the most, to be honest with you, is our airport's not a hub. So a lot of international business does choose Charlotte over Raleigh because of the hub access, and basically they can get direct flights in. So we're losing that. So when you see the airport add a direct flight to Paris, that's big for our market, because that means that those Paris companies can then get back and forth from Raleigh instead of having to go through Charlotte. And if they're choosing Charlotte, they'll go, why don't we just land our headquarters or office needs in Charlotte? So
Yeah, one of the questions that came up was any discussion about the possibility of affordable housing within a stone throw of the downtown area?
yes, so I can tell you there's two projects that I know specifically that the town and some nonprofits are working towards to create affordable housing within the downtown corridor.
Beautiful. All right, I am promoting everyone in the group to panelists so they can jump on. We have a little bit of time left, and I wanted to make sure that those who made it to today's session had an opportunity to introduce themselves and share one thing if they could. It could be something positive or a challenge or something that they'd like to see happen in Cary downtown. So let's get started. Archie.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you share just one thing real quick about something you'd like to see happen, or anything you want to share about your particular organization?
My organization is Exchange, and we have 600 clubs all over the United States. It started back in about 110 years ago. So if I start talking, I'll have 110 years to talk about. But actually, we're starting a club in Cary, and I want everybody to know that. And we're a club that tries to help our communities be a better place to live, and that's what our.
Great. Thank you, Archie. All right, Lindsay.
Hey, yeah, I'm the one that made comments about the west side of Chatham Street, because all the action has been on the east side, and I'm eager to see that gas station get demolished and something great happen there, as well as the Bidding Electric and the car place that's been vacated. So that's what I'm keeping my eyes on.
Great. Rose?
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry. I represent Dorcas Ministries in Cary, and we have assisted, last year it was 34,000 people with all sorts of things: rent, utilities, food. Our food distribution has quadrupled since the pandemic started, but we still have plenty of food. So if you're in need of assistance, come to Dorcas Ministries. We provide assistance to people who live in Cary and Morrisville.
Thank you, Rose. And please take a note. I'm going to ask you to unmute as soon as it's your turn. Neil?
Well, thanks for arranging this, and great job, Moss. You know, I run a business brokerage firm, so I'm focused on helping those entrepreneurs in downtown Cary with their options for exit. So I'm excited to see where things are going, but I get concerned for business owners being able to pay the rent and make it work for their business model. But it's all necessary for the growth of downtown Cary. But thanks for putting this together.
Leah?
Hello. Sorry, I was busy answering questions as a panelist moderator. I'm Leah Campbell. I am on the board of the Heart of Cary. I am currently in charge of the events. So I'm looking forward to planning a few this year in 2021. And I guess that's it for me.
Thank you. Anna?
Good morning, everyone. It's Anna Haliliu with KHL Bookkeeping. I'm on board either providing the financial information here And I'm really excited to see that Cary become a place where you can walk more. I think we're missing that in our life. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy.
Good morning. This is Cindy Sinkes. I'm president of the Cary Town Band. This week marks a year since we've been able to have a rehearsal, at least in person. We have performed 3 videos that are on YouTube. We have another one coming out soon. We're really hoping to put together a performance by this summer. Our concerts are all free to anyone who wants to attend, though we do ask for donations.
Okay. Keith. Okay, let's move on to Cary Chamber. Mark?
Hey, it's Kelsey.
Kelsey,
Good morning,
okay.
everyone. So yeah, we're super excited. Hey, Leah. Super excited about all the development going on downtown. Obviously, we are located downtown across from the town and next to the train station. Personally, I'm excited because I'm raising my family here close to downtown, excited for all the retail and restaurants and everything that it's going to offer. But on the chamber front, I do want to mention we do have our virtual networking later today from 4 to 5. It is still open for registration. If you're interested, please come and join us. Thank you.
It's a lot of fun. Mike. Marilyn.
Hey everyone, it's Marilyn Lewis, one of the owners of Chocolate Snobs Village on the west side of Chatham, and I'm, along with Lindsay, very interested to see what can happen on the west side of Chatham. We're trying to make things happen in our village. We're trying to keep our small businesses successful, and looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Marilyn. Pamela.
Let me just say, we're in the old Cary Commons building, right around where everything is happening. We're so excited for all the growth. I now have my whole family in this area and all of our students. And even though we're still doing everything online, very soon we're getting excited about coming back and starting lessons again and being part of the growth and everything that's happening. We're thrilled to death. Anyway, thank you for everything you're all doing.
Thank you. Carolyn Kasdorf.
Thank you for asking me to speak up since I'm really a guest in the meeting. Scott invited the Fonville Morrissey Lockmere office to come to the meeting today, and I was excited to be able to hear what Moss had to tell us about the growth in the commercial development downtown Cary. I moved here in 1972, so I've enjoyed seeing what's happening in Cary. And I am a member of First United Methodist Church, so I'm even more interested in what's going on in downtown Cary, I think, because if I'm sure you've seen the $15 million project we've just been involved in and are still involved in and still going on. So I'm real, I still want some of the old and I love the new. And thank you for your presentation, Moss.
Sure. Carolyn's my neighbor. So.
Oh, yeah, we're neighbors. I met him.
So good to see you. Carolyn, thank you for mentioning the First United Methodist Project. I am the capital campaign chair, and we started in January of last year raising money for that campaign. So you can imagine how that's going. But we're reviving it back up, and we went forward anyways with that construction, and they've done a phenomenal job upgrading the internal of that church. So that means a lot for you to mention that.
Well, thank you for being the campaign chair. For some reason, I didn't know that.
Poor Carl. Poor Carl.
Yes, our wonderful minister, senior minister.
Well, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Just as a reminder, please renew your membership if you haven't already done so. If you have any interest in joining the organization as a committee member, as a board member, wherever you feel your services could be of value to our group. We'd appreciate you getting involved. You have our website, heartofcary.org. I look forward to a follow-up regarding a scholarship program for Barry's program. And I want to again thank Moss for your time and for your presentation, full of great information. We'll look forward to getting this out to our members that were not available to attend. This has been Scott Corbin with the Heart of Cary Association, wishing you a wonderful California blue sky day. California? No, how about Carolina blue sky?
Scott.
I was just on the phone with my daughter late last night in California, and that's what was on my mind. But man, is it a gorgeous day this morning. Have a great Carolina blue sky day.
Thank you, Scott.
See you, everybody.
All right.